my creative friends. Welcome back to Zen and Creativity YouTube channel, your daily source of artistic inspiration during Inktober Tangles 2023. I'm Yehudit Steinberg, your Certified Zentangle Teacher, and it's an absolute delight to be here with you once again today. If you are enjoying our videos, then please consider liking, subscribing, and ringing the notification bell so you never miss a moment of creative exploration. Here on this channel, we are dedicated to making Zentangle method accessible to everyone, whether you're a beginner or an experienced tangler. No questions are too small, so feel free to ask in the comments. And don't forget to join our virtual Sunday art lab. It's a perfect place to connect with like-minded artists and tanglers from around the world and get your questions answered. But before we dive into today's tangle, let's take a moment to revisit the beautiful patterns that we've explored in the past few days. On day 10, we delved into builds, followed by dark busters on day 11, and then a moth on day 12. It's always a pleasure to learn and create together. Now let's get started with today's tangle, Icanthis, by Zentangle Inc. It's a leaf and vine tangle with a long ancient history, which I think is really cool. It's named after the Icanthis leaf. Icanthis in architecture and decorative art is a stylized ornamental motif based on a characteristic Mediterranean plant with jagged leaves, Icanthis spinosus. It was first used by the Greeks in the 5th century BC on temple roof ornaments, on wall friezes, and on the capital of the Corinthian column. It's a little more complicated because it has more than 6 steps. We've simplified it, and I think you'll be able to get it by our step-by-step method. Stay with me, and if you still have questions, ask in the comments or join our Sunday Art Lab meetup where you can get your questions answered and meet other like-minded tanglers from around the globe. It's not too late to join the art lab, and the way you sign up is the link is in the description that takes you to the registration on Eventbrite. First time on this channel, I suggest that you listen to our introductory video and get the full idea of what we're doing here on Inktober Tangles 2023. We have a lot of great information and ways that you can connect with us and build community and learn. Here we are in the studio, and as I do every day, I lay out the supplies that I'm using and the step by step on how to create this design. And I'm going to create this design on a bijou, a 2-inch bijou tile. Let's briefly go over the supplies. I have a graphite pencil for initial sketching. I'm using an 01, micron 01 as a very small nib. I have a micron 08 for larger. I don't know that I'll be using it in this pattern. Is pretty intricate. A PN, a plastic nib for some emphasis on lines, and I have graphite pencil for shading and a blending stone. So here we are with our step out for the day, and this is the time for you to take the screenshot. So get a screenshot of Icanthis, and while you're doing that, I want to remind you that we have step outs for you in the beginner's guide, which you get when you sign up for the art lab. We also have a mandala template that we're using for our artwork should you want to have a finished piece of artwork by the end of Inktober. And you can get that in your beginner's guide. The links are in the description. So now it's time to draw Icanthis. Now I like to come in and do my first step. You can see is a S curvy line. And I'm going to take that. Well, I'm actually, maybe I'll do 4 corner dots this time. Like we do dots in 4 corners, connect them, and create a border. And I'm going to put Icanthis inside that border. So I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to put a sprawling S curve. And that is step 1. So I like that. I'm going to come. Okay, now what we're going to do is in step 2 is we're going to give it some slight C curve, working from the bottom up, not too far out. Okay. Now step 3. I'm going to turn my tile a little, and I'm going to put these little caps on it. I actually do it in 2 strokes. They do not touch this line, so they're kind of floating for a moment. So stay with me with this pattern, because I mentioned it's quite intricate, and follow along. If you have questions, put them in the comments, join our art lab, and come on Sunday. I will demonstrate this if you come with your question on how to put it together. And because this is kind of off the page, I'm gonna improvise, and I'm actually going to go outside my border here, which is okay. So that is step 3. Now, step 4 was a little confusing to me in the beginning, but what I learned to do from Melinda Barlow is put a couple of U shapes right below this that design, that curvy design there. And then on all of them, they're facing, see, they're facing out. All right, now we're headed for step 5. Okay, so I just want to show you here on a close-up where we had these U's on either side. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to connect the U's. We're going to make squiggly line. We're going to make a squiggly line from one to the other. So let's do that. So I'm going to start at the top. And I'm going to make squiggly, come down and here. And connect to that U. Oh, excuse me. And we're going to connect the U to the leaf. I'm going to turn my tile again. And connect it to that point. I'm going to turn it again. Now I'm going to go back to the top and connect this guy. This one. There we go. Oh, we're almost done. So now we're going to do one more step. And that's going to be on these tips. We're going to give like a little C curve here on each of the sides. This represents, you know, how a leaf curls over. That's what this represents. And what I'm going to do is sort of shade it in with some lines. Give it some character. Okay, so I'm going to come over and I'm going to give up this, I'm going to give it some little veins here up the tree, up the leaf here. Not too many, just a little to give it. It can be optional. Do you know how leaves have that? This is not a realistic leaf. This is a decorative pattern that has been done for centuries, many centuries. So I'm going to go up this one side of this S curve that we drew in the beginning, kind of the spine of the leaf, following it close, and also make sure you have a sharpened pencil. It helps to get in those fine areas. So I'm going to come up there and I'm going to take my blending stump and I'm just going to lightly give it some shading. I'll give a little bit on the other side too. Just in that crevice. And then the one last thing I'm going to do before I finish is I'm going to come back with my O1 and I'm going to go down into these little, I'm going to give it a little bit of a highlight and a little bit of a rounding so that it gives it some definition. Bring it up a little more. And basically, we have done I can this. Guess what? We can. Down in these little crevices here. That's really a very beautiful decorative pattern. It was intimidating for me until I just kept focusing and practicing. So if you don't get it the first time, don't get discouraged. You want to give it another try and watch the video again. Go and see what others have done too. Eventually you get it. Okay. So this is a picture of the mandala that I'm working on. I did a watercolor wash. And then I did the first 7 days. I've recorded that. And I will do 7 more days over the weekend and fill them in. And next week you can see how this grows. You can get a chance to do an Inktober mandala by downloading the beginner's guide, which is part of the sign up and registration over on Eventbrite, and that link is in the description. So here is I can this. This is the bijou that we just drew. This is the step out. And if you're enjoying our tutorials and haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. It helps us reach more creative folks like you. Don't forget about our Sunday virtual art lab. It's a vibrant community where we learn, share, and grow together. Check the description for all the details. As we look ahead, mark your calendars for our upcoming beginner series in November. It's the perfect opportunity to deepen your Zentangle practice. Plus, for those who'd like to show their support, you can buy us a virtual cup of coffee. Visit our Ko-fi.com tip jar. Your support keeps this creative space going. Well, that's it for today, folks. Remember, there's no behind, just a world of creativity ahead. Stay inspired, and we'll see you on day 14 for Prima. It's a beautiful, delicate tangle. Happy tangling.